and welcome. I'm pleased to have you join us this morning. Where the topic is CRM magic, how nonprofits can use CRM beyond fundraising, because we're always hearing about fundraising, and there's a lot of other areas over the years that we've encountered for the use of CRM. Let's get started with a little bit of background. First of all, in terms of what are the major components of a CRM system? Well, most CRMs, the larger CRMs that you should be involved in terms of working with, will have a few different sections. They're going to be entities or tables, but they start off really with having in a hierarchy, the top area being an account or organization. And underneath those organizations are going to be contacts and then associated activities and maybe opportunities. As we look at each of these areas, what can you be using the account area for, the organization area? Well, you have vendors that you're working with that you're trying to manage. You have influencers, past board members, neighbors that you're dealing with in terms of your organizations, press possibly, government people that you're dealing with, event locations where you're planning events, the hotels or the halls that you're renting in terms of working with, and a series of others. Right now you may have all those as pasted notes, and everybody has those in Outlooks scattered around. But if you get them in one place with a CRM system, well, now those could possibly be part of your annual giving group. These are people who know you and you're touching with throughout the year. Why not then also be including them in your newsletters? Make them be advocates for you as you work forward with your organization. That under these organizations, you're going to have then multiple contacts, in that they could be the contacts that you're dealing with directly. They might be billing contacts that you're dealing with, but this is where you're going to be interacting with them and where you're going to be creating activities that show the next step. Again, the idea is that you're getting this all out of Post-it notes. You're getting it out of Excel files. You're getting it out of file folders that may be in a file cabinet. You're keeping it in one place that you can now manage. A lot of people, when we talk about CRM systems, have grown up using the acronym that CRM stands for, customer relationship management. I think a better use of a word for CRM, better definition, is can't remember much. And that's an idea then of you having this information where you're creating activities, you're working with these contacts, so now they're triggering the next action that you can take. You're getting all this information out of your head that is worrying you in the middle of the night, and you're getting it down to the point where you're now seeing, what should I be doing next? And that's what this good CRM system can be doing for you. You may be using activities to trigger callbacks or remind yourself something that you need to do in 6 months with this organization, or creating tasks. That all can be kept in a CRM system and out of your Outlook, out of slips of paper, and shared across the organization then. In addition, you might have opportunities, and opportunities are such items as you maybe have ability to speak somewhere. There may be someone who wants to loan you equipment or give you equipment. This is areas where you can start tracking things that you that have some value to you, that you want to make sure you have a process for getting back to that item. Leads, we all get leads, and they may be clients that are coming to us. They may be fundraising opportunities that are coming to us. But those are the kind of areas that often we like to have someone in our marketing area handling those first, so that we're not dealing with everything every day. We use a term called marketing qualified for leads. And you have certain criteria that if this organization doesn't meet that criteria, if this individual doesn't excel at that criteria, we're going to put them maybe on a slow drip and make them raise their hands to deal with us. But we're not going to give our attention to them, because we have people who do, and we need to invest our attention there. So this is sort of the basic core of what a CRM can give you as you start working with that. Again, the idea is to break down data silos. We want to give everyone a badge that really has Excel with a line through it. No more Excel files passing around that we're living with as data. We see so often that your executive director has a whole list of people that person, he or she, is managing in their Outlook files, and someone else has a different Outlook file, and then a different person has a different Excel file. And doing something simple as even wanting to put out a newsletter or a holiday greeting card becomes really a Chinese fire drill of trying to bring all these files together. Make a CRM be your address book, your contact book, and everyone else is sharing information there. So now in the organization, people can cross fertilize each other. Oh, I see you know this person, or my board member happens to be working with this person. You start building on these relationships to maximize them for yourself. So we get one truth of the relationship of the people that we're dealing with, one view, and no more data silos. We're getting this information out of Excel and out of Outlook. Ways that CRM has been used outside of fundraising that we've seen. Well, initially, you're not really as a nonprofit engaged in sales, yet we are engaged heavily in influencers and managing those influencers and trying to get those relationships to perform for us. So we're going to have volunteers, in terms of a group that we're managing. We're going to have membership people that we're working with. We may have other client services, vendors that we're dealing with. All of this data can be accumulated to us and start to use in things like our marketing automation for when we're doing drip emails of press releases or newsletters or requests. They may be going to landing pages that we're having them, who's interacting with our information. And if they're interacting with our organization, if they're interacting with our information, they're raising their hands about how they want to deal with us. We want to tell somebody else in our organization maybe about that. So how do we share that? We've had organizations that manage equipment even. If you're in a healthcare organization, you may be providing a bed, a different information, medical equipment that you're providing. Where is it at? How do you get it back? How do you get it serviced? How do you get it cleaned? That can be tracked in type of a CRM too. You may have scheduling, a scheduling system that you're working with independently that also has then clients in it and volunteers in it and staff in it. That doesn't have to be that way. That it can exist in a CRM system and do your scheduling out of it. We had one organization that we went into it was a hospice organization that had 5 big whiteboards on the walls for scheduling calls. Somebody calls in and says, I think it's time to have mom, talk about a hospice. So they'd go to these whiteboards, try to figure out who was in the area. They had 50 people out in the field to go talk to individuals. Where are they at? What side of the city are they on? How close are they to the person that we're going to next week? We took that all off of these whiteboards, put it into a CRM system, gave them a mapping component so when the person called and got their address, they could see how close they are to other appointments they were going to go on next week or in 2 weeks and schedule things that way and keeping it all in the CRM system to start that relationship from ground zero. Quality control. You're doing all kinds of type of quality control, whether it is handing out medications, whether it's sending caseworkers out to visit with people, whether it's having in. What kind of surveys, what kind of feedbacks are you getting on the quality of the services you perform? Do you have to report variances in that quality to someone else, maybe even a state agency? So how do you keep track of that? Where's that information being shared? You may have service tickets on equipment that you're trying to manage, even your own. There's no reason why not all your own PCs and equipment can't be in CRM and tracking when were they purchased, when were they serviced, when do they need to be replaced. So all these are possibilities that you can use as you work with a CRM system in terms of beyond the fundraising scope. Let's talk about one area here, and I'm going to share a quick video. How's that?
It is showing, but I don't think there's any sound.
Oh, there's no sound on this one, but there's another sound coming. So help me understand how the next one we can show the sound on it. The purpose of this video is to show you that in dealing with an organization, we found when we encountered them, that they had about 8 different systems, all being supported by IT department. They were all, different platforms. Some were online, some were then in the cloud, some were in-house. We were able to take all 8 of those and put them in one system. So they started sharing the information in terms of working through that. So that's the idea I want to give you. You also not only are helping yourself, but you're also helping your IT department in terms of they work together. So yes, there was about 8 different systems they were working with. We were able to take all those systems out and put them into one CRM system to now that we cross-sharing information. And it gave IT a great relief in terms of not having to learn how to work with 8 different systems and moving data around. So when we talk about Dynamics 365, the CRM, the core platform is the fundraising tool, Core CRM. And Microsoft calls it Dynamics 365 Sales. It's the core product. Then they add modules to it. Fundraising is a module, volunteer is a module. Those both come as add-on modules at no additional cost. Marketing automation is a module for dealing with your drip campaigns, your landing pages, your surveys, and events. There's a customer service module if you have a large intake group or scheduling area that's necessary. And there's an accounting piece that attaches to this, Business Central. All this is part of the platform in terms of working with it. All this sits in connected at the hip with Office 365. So Word is integrated, Outlook's integrated for all your emails being tracked against contacts, as well as having the ability to do extensive reports through Power BI, working in that area. Licensing for something like a dynamic CRM starts then, the sales system, which is the core system, is $23.80 per person per month, with the ability, as I indicated, to add on other pieces at no cost or at minimal cost. And we can get into those details if you're interested. What I want to share with you now is a different video that talked about a customer that we worked on. How are we doing?
I see it. There is sound, yes.
With me now, Ann Reeder, who's the executive director of the Wilkinson Center in Dallas, Texas. Ann, it's a pleasure to have you with us this morning. Tell us a little bit about the Wilkinson Center.
Good morning, Bob. It's a pleasure to be with you. The Wilkinson Center started 41 years ago in a little church in East Dallas when the minister looked out and saw kids digging through the dumpster for food. And he just thought that cannot stand. So as his sons told me, he got a bunch of little gray-haired ladies to help him start a food pantry and a clothes closet. And so all these years later, we're serving about 10,000 people a year. We still have a food pantry. We have emergency services for rental assistance, even, repairing people's cars or whatever they need to get them back on their feet, because we really serve the working poor. And it's usually mom and dad that are both working, but still just can't quite get ahead. So we also are the second largest provider of adult education in Dallas. So we provide the basic training for GED, speaking English, but we also have all kinds of certification programs, and we work very closely with other groups in Dallas, especially Dallas College, to help people get the education that they need to support their families.
That's fantastic. This is so exciting. And unfortunately, that need is very prevalent still. Hopefully someday we can move past that. But when we first encountered each other a few years ago, what situation was before you got involved with InfoGrow?
Yeah, so I was pretty new to Wilkinson Center. All of our technology was really bad. We really had no kind of a database for our clients. I mean, we had little pockets of data, but I heard about CRM. So actually, I engaged a company in Dallas that right away went out of business. So then I thought, oh my gosh, I have a CRM system. What am I going to do with it? I certainly can't fix it. So I Googled and I found InfoGrow. And I started talking to Bob, and that began our partnership many years ago. And our CRM system has grown through the years. It has so much information about our clients. Here's a good example. We just had our back to shoe drive. So we can very easily go into our database and identify families who have school-age children to ask them if they'd like to participate and get back to school shoes for their kids. For the turkey drive at Thanksgiving and the toy drive at Christmas, it's having that information not just about our clients or students, but also about the kids and their family.
That's great. I remember you had an on-premise copy of CRM. We were able to help you at the time to move that to online.
Right.
In a kiosk for people to self-register in the pantry.
Self-check-in, 2 tablets to check in the pantry, which saves people so much time. They don't have to go and check in with somebody at the desk, but it also lets them know when they do need to update their information. So,
right.
Yeah, we use it every day.
And then we added the educational component to that for all your courses.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember doing different languages of the forms, the application forms,
right,
from the register for them to come in. And then recently, I think we've deployed a job matching sort of process for you,
yes,
in terms of the system.
That's right. We have an employment specialist now, and so we're developing that so that we can, because a lot of people come to us for jobs, and sometimes they need just a job in the present because they're really in sort of a chaotic situation, to keep them, to sustain them while they get their education, working to that better job in the future.
So what's been the impact of us working together here?
Gosh, I just think it really gives us an advantage. I belong to a group of agencies, and they're mostly small faith-based organizations that are supported by a foundation. And I know that they felt like I kept harping on it, but I kept just saying, really, technology is so important, because right now, to be a nonprofit, you can't just say, we're doing good things, so you need to give us money. You actually have to show them what you're doing. You have to show the data. It's just the mission is one thing, the work is another. And that's how modern philanthropic giving is. It's a business. And so if you don't have the technology, if you can't provide the data, then you can't get funded, honestly. And so I was kind of harping on that to this group. And then, the pandemic came, and all they had was to reach their clients were their cell phones. So we're really lucky that we had CRM.
As you get ready to deploy a CRM, as you start thinking about what you're looking for and how this works together, the key point that if you remember nothing else about what I say today and the sloppiness of us moving around, the craziness of trying to get things right here, remember this: a CRM system only has 20% to do about technology. The 80% that a CRM is really going to help you do is align your processes, to monitor the behaviors that you're trying to excel at, to keep track of that type of efforts. Technology is the easiest part of a CRM process. It's really understanding how your organization works together and what information that you want to track. What's the expected value of having a tool like a CRM system and working in that area? Very much it's a change management type of operation as you deploy a CRM in terms of working it, because you're asking people to think about and record their activities to help move the entire organization forward. So it's a change process that you need to be dealing with, and also understanding that technology is the easy part. The 80% is understanding your people and your processes and what you're really trying to achieve. As you work that area, to help you think about that, these are some of the guideposts that you must have in place. Clear objectives. What will the CRM system achieve for us in the first 120 days, or half a year, or the first year? Can we list those three elements, and can we measure our progress against those three items as we go through this process? Too many organizations set that as a well-intention for getting started in a CRM system, but they then forget about it a year later and then wonder why no one's using the system. Set those objectives, holds people to the fire of meeting those. And that then participates then having a phased plan. You're not going to try to do everything at once. Take small steps. Very much this is a crawl, walk, run kind of process that you will continue to grow with. Have those measurements in place that you can actually say to yourself, we're expecting to achieve this, and this is how we're going to measure it. And so you can know that, and you have it in place for you. And recognize again that it's a non-technical project. We often see, where we see CRMs fail, is that they became an IT project. Because IT is great. They can deploy the system, they can even train everybody, but they're not going to be focused as you maybe are on what the business outcomes that we're trying to achieve. So don't put a CRM system in IT. Put it as someone who's really core management in terms of understanding it and can track the area. Definitely invest in ongoing training and support because you're going to be adding new people every month. And you don't want that just to be a case, yeah, they'll figure it out as they go along. Train them, get them ingrained in what your objectives for the system are, and then help them work towards that. And again, the key element is use this as a tool to align your business processes as you go through. Budget considerations, there's going to be three big ones. Software, probably the simplest part. You know, at $24 a month, you know, yeah, that's still money, real money, but it's not, you know, what a profit organization is paying. Development time is going to be a real expense for you in terms of how this is deployed. And again, that's why it needs to be a phased effort so that you can budget and do the planning that way for. Data migration, getting the data out of all your other systems. Typically, there's two ways of doing that. One is you ask your vendor to take that on and collect all the data, dedupe it, clean it, manage it, get it organized, and then put it in your CRM system. The second way is you ask your vendor to provide you with an Excel template that you fill in all the data, and you do the work in terms of getting it organized, getting it standardized and clean, and then they are just importing it. Big cost differences between the two. And again, it depends on if you have the time and the staff to do that. Don't overlook support. You want to be in a relationship with whoever your CRM vendor is that you're not afraid to call them. And you want them involved with you. One of the things that we do is we offer all our clients a quarterly strategic review, free review. We're going to spend time with your key managers and talk about what you're trying to achieve with the system, how it's working, how it's not working, and what's the plan for maybe the next 6 months, the 12 months. What part are you going to do? What part do you want us to do? And let's hold everybody accountable for achieving that. You should be getting that from your vendor and not being afraid of calling them and being, charged for every call that you're making to them. Is working through that. Well, let's open this up for questions. Scott, do we have some questions that have come forward in our Q&A session here?
Yes, we have had a couple come in, and as we're going through these, once again, if any more questions or comments come up, just use that Q&A feature at the top of the meeting and we'll get to them. So this first one came through when you were looking at that price chart. They were just wondering, what is the overall cost of Dynamics?
Well, Dynamics, again, it would start off with the sales professional, which is the base product, which is $23.80 per user per month to start with. Now, the fundraising module adds on to that at no additional cost, and Microsoft uses Azure for managing that fundraising process. So they give you a credit, a $2,000 credit, towards any kind of transactions and processes that you're working with in that system. The volunteer module, which does two parts. One, it's volunteer for we have to vet volunteers now. We want to know their background. We want to do background checks. So it has an application process that they're filling out for their volunteer form. And then once you're approving them, it has a portal that lets them self-schedule. So you're able to put out an email. We need 10 people to cover, reworking this bike path that we're on this weekend. Please sign up. And they go to the portal and sign up. Or I need office workers for next week. When can you fill in? And they have the scheduler they can fill in. Those are at no charge add-ons. Marketing automation gets into a charge. You'll get X number of pieces of email, dropping email, but that gives you the ability. It's taking a constant contact or a MailChimp, literally putting that in steroids. And what I mean by that, it's not just that you're dropping those emails out and have to go to another system to see who opened it. It's right inside the same system. So you can see who's opening those emails, who's clicking on items. And if they do so much activity, they can be scored to tell somebody it's time to talk to them. Event registrations can come through that. We're having a dinner, we're having a luncheon. Let's handle our event registrations through that. Survey our people can come through that. Even texting can come through that. So those become some of add-ons, and there are charges associated with those. Any other questions then?
Yes, you might have mentioned this module in that last one, but this follow-up question is sort of a follow-up came through. Is Dynamics 365 Customer Insights part of the core Dynamics, or is it an add-on?
Okay, and I've got to apologize for Microsoft on the word insights, because since the first of the year, there have been 4 different products called Insights. And so I'm going to assume that you're talking about the marketing automation Insights, which is now not called Insights, it's called Journey. They renamed it again. Love Microsoft. It keeps our life interesting. But yes, there is a charge for the marketing automation tool that lives inside a CRM. It starts off at $425 per month for unlimited users, and it gives you, I think, about 10,000 emails that you can drop. And then includes all the other aspects of that. The journeys that you can create of where you can do drip campaigns and then track them different ways, the event landing pages, the ability to keep your collateral, have people register. If you're going to text out of there, the texting is part of the tool, but you have to have a text provider, which is an additional charge that comes into play with it. So yeah, I think that's the insights they're talking about.
We have one that says, we are starting to plan for 2025. What are some things we should be doing now?
The biggest thing you can do now to help if you're budgeting for a CRM system is first do that assessment or have someone help you do that assessment of how it fits inside your technology. In terms of where's the data at, how is the data going to be moved, and also what do we need to have as far as users technology. What kind of PCs should they have? What kind of laptops should they have? Are they accessing it from in-house, from mobile? Go through that process, because it's more than just buying a cloud-based system. That's the first piece on the technology side to do that level of assessment. The second part is start cleaning up your data. Data is ugly. And the more you can start looking at your data, start cleaning it, start organizing it, start making sure it's complete, the better off you're going to be as you get ready to deploy a CRM system. Duplicates, if your executive director has a file in Outlook and someone else has a file in Excel, get them together and start working through cleaning that data up and working through duplicates and standardizing your information. That's the biggest thing you can start doing. Super.
And then one final question, unless any more come in as we're answering this. But they say our org does not use the sales portion of our current CRM. They don't collect donations or membership fees. Would Dynamics be useful if they just focus on customer service and insight side of things?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the core product. Add-ons become, so Microsoft Dynamics itself, let me jump back here a few slides real quick to get back to this demo. The core product is really Dynamic CRM Sales. They call it that. We don't sell, but that's the core CRM. That's what is the $24 piece here. You don't need to add development volunteer or anything else to it, but this would get all your data into one place. You start changing the culture about how we share information. And that's not something to overlook. That's a big change for a lot of organizations to think through, that we start, sharing information, we start having information in one place. So you don't need to do fundraising. You don't even need to do volunteer management. You're going to start really from this base right here. Okay. So any other questions, Scott, that we have?
That is it that we have so far.
Well, I really appreciate your time today and your patience as I fight a little bit with Teams this morning. But thank you so much. Let us know how we can help you, and have a good holiday weekend. Enjoy.